Hey y'all, so really quick, I'm gonna keep this brief and I'm gonna let homeboy finish his story out because it's amazing the transformation he's about to tell you and how he was stuck in those old mindsets and patterns and how he broke free and even forgave the person who did what they did. So this is very important, y'all. You know, we have to choose where we get our advice from and words of encouragement and things like that. And that's one reason I wanted to bring him on here because we speak so much in the culture about different situations. And I wanted to bring somebody who's healed and been through the trauma and healed and also been in the streets. You see what I'm saying? Because I told y'all, God is bringing people to the forefront. And just like he brought me and this man to the forefront, he want to do the same for you. But don't get scared. You don't have to tell your story. God, he got other ways of doing it. He just wants you to heal. Because this is not coincidental. It's not coincidental that you're starting to see people pop up, regular people, all around the world, telling a little bit more of their story. It's a bigger agenda by God to reach y'all. All of y'all who Satan is trying to keep in old cycles or negative thought patterns, or to make you feel like you're not worth love or loving yourself. It's a lie. It's greatness in you. I'm telling you. Listen to his story, and God bless you. I'm gonna keep it short because his testimony. I want him to go and finish this out tonight, and I see y'all on Monday with Coat in the Culture. Love God and then love you. He's everything. I'm telling you, he changed my life.
Nothing really happened, but anyway, so that's how they worked. That's how they work. They're good at this, and so that happened multiple times. Never told anyone about it, but how that affected my life as a kid is I now started playing sexual games with other kids, right? And to me, it was like there was nothing like wrong with it. And, kids do like weird stuff when they're kids anyway, mad weird stuff. But like, to me, it was like, it was coming from that place, it was different. And looking back at that, it really bothered me. I spoke to kids that I played these games with when we got older, and asked for forgiveness and stuff like that. I was a kid; they were kids, but that's kind of where it started. Like where it started affecting my life, and then it kind of just disappeared. I think they like split ways. I remember seeing the kid one more time now when I was a teenager, but I was nervous to like say something or confront him. I was also embarrassed, like really embarrassed about it. I didn't even know if he like remembered. But anyway, so, that was fine. My childhood, it wasn't fine, but like my childhood in a sense was like normal, right? Suburban kid. And until my parents got divorced. And when my parents got divorced, I moved down to Yonkers from suburbs to the city, from suburban school to Yonkers public school, which was like culture shock and like was getting in fights. And anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I feel like it suppressed itself until my parents got divorced. Like it popped up every now and then in my mind, but it really, when my parents got divorced, and it was a difficult divorce. My parents did the best they can. Now that I look back on it, but it was a tough divorce. A lot of emotions, a lot of craziness, and I was like 12. My brothers were like, I don't know, 6. Like it was crazy, and around that time it started to like resurface. And when I moved down to Yonkers, I got involved in some like really rebellious stuff. I rebelled against everything. After my brother's bike got stolen for like the 20th time, after my brother's bike got stolen for like the 20th time, and I got picked on for like the millionth time, I just said, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm just gonna be a pretty bad dude, and got involved in gangs, drugs, alcohol, a whole bunch of nonsense. And when I became sexually active, that is when this like really resurfaced. Like, side note, I wasn't always a Christian. I didn't become a believer until I was about 29 years old. So there was a lot of time where I was just in the world, and I got big into drinking, gangs, drugs, and the more that I got into that, the more I became sexually active. The more this stuff like kind of came to the surface, and now it was like in front of my mind. And if you don't know anything about Yonkers, like you got to be a tough dude in Yonkers, you really do. And now I had this thing in front of my mind of like, man, I hope nobody finds out about this, because if people find out about this, like, I'm going to be looked at as soft. I'm going to be the kid. And I don't know how the heck they would ever find out about it. Like, this is something that I kept to myself. But anyway, this is the stuff that's going on in my mind. So I'm just like, nah, I'm going to, like, I masked this pain with just being really tough, like being a tough dude. I lied a lot. Like, I was a compulsive liar, schemer, like trying to get over on people. And like, I just was nuts. Like, but I was also around people who did that as well. Like, that was normal stuff, trying to get over on people. It's like we would get over on people, but we wouldn't get over on each other. And then eventually they end up getting over on you. But anyway, got into using drugs, selling drugs, gangs. And I was just a very angry, violent person. I used music. I was a rapper for a pretty long time. And I used music as a way to like channel my anger. Also took up boxing and all of this stuff. And it just, that went on for a very long time. It went on until my late 20s, till I was about like 28 years old, 29 years old. I was still in that mentality of being like a tough guy and trying to mask all of this pain, not let anyone in. And even when I did, I wouldn't really let them in. And anyway, I got to a point in my 20s somewhere where I told my parents what happened. Didn't blame them for it, even though me and my parents, well, me and my mother always got along. My father and I had a difficult time. My stepmother and I had a difficult time. Our relationship is incredible now, but we had a pretty difficult time as a family. And part of it was from my anger. A big part of it was from my anger from this happening to me. And yeah, so I finally told my parents, and the reason that I told them is actually I was looking for the dude. Like, I wanted to find him. I finally got to the point where I was just gonna, in my mind, I was just gonna kill him. Like, that's what I wanted to do. I figured this is the only way that I'm gonna get this out is if I just get this over with. I need my revenge, and never found him. So thank God for him. Thank God for me. Well, at least not at that point. And yeah, then I just kept on in life, just trying to prove that I was the man, like that I was the best at everything. And these are all reflections of this stuff. You see this. This is how trauma reflects itself. I also was seeking the approval of like everybody. I was really seeking the approval of everybody. But anyway, let me turn the page. This is why I have notes, because I'll just ramble on. So this went on for a long time. I had crazy relationship after crazy relationship after crazy relationship. Like one was crazier than the next, and my choices in women were a reflection of who I was as a person. I found women who were in pain because I was in pain, and we could be in pain together. And that was the cycle that I was in. I was just in this cycle of trying to mask it with drugs, trying to mask it with love, trying to mask my pain with alcohol, trying to mask my pain with being the man. I just trying to mask my pain with everything that I could. And then and kind of just like suppress this thing, just suppress it. And then I got in one relationship where I don't want to give too many details, but they were in the industry. I can't say that word. They were in the PORN industry, and then they got me involved in it. And in doing so, it exposed me to now men that were like openly hitting on me in sexual ways, and it like I was not in that industry for very long, because it really resurfaced all the memories from when I was a kid, and that was just a really low point in my life. And then a few years later, of just music industry and getting tired of it and looking for something else, I got introduced to network marketing. And say what you want about network marketing, I've had a lot of success with it, and it really came at a point where I was laid off from my job. I was looking for something and tired of the music industry, and then network marketing comes in, and along with it was personal development. And changing the way that you think. Like I was taught that you could change the way that you think. And up until that point, I was just like, oh, I am who I am, who cares? This is who I'm going to be for the rest of my life. Like, if you don't like it, find someone else. Like, that was my attitude. And then I got around people who were like, nah, bro, you got to be a different person. And I respected these people. So I listened to what they said. I was trying to make some money. And if the people with the money were telling me that I got to do something, I just listened to them. So they said I had to work on myself. And so in working on myself, I started changing the way that I thought. I focused less on the negative, which is all I used to focus on. And now I started looking, more at the positive of things. And then I went to Guatemala. And I went to Guatemala to build a school. And this was a pivotal moment for me. So, I'm just telling you my story. So maybe in it, you can find things that might be able to help you. Guatemala changed my life. I went out there, I saw how happy the kids were with nothing. Then I came back home and I saw how miserable everybody is with everything, including myself. I was miserable, and I was driving a BMW, had the ability to travel. I had all these good things going for me, and I was miserable. And I kind of, when I saw the kids out there, it made me think about me when I was a kid. And it kind of just like, it put a chip in my armor. It put a chip in the chip on my shoulder. And I went out there with one of my friends who used to be a Latin king, and we kind of had the same experience of like breakthrough and like finally being able to express emotion. And that was a pivotal moment for me. If you ever get the chance to, my wife and I do a trip there pretty much every year. Come on the trip with us. It's a very healing experience. It's life changing. But anyway, that was a big moment. And then from there, I got around people who believed in God. And long story short, I became a believer in God. I became a believer in Jesus Christ. It was a long process, but I eventually became a believer. And when I became a believer, it wasn't like an immediate turnaround. It's not like, oh man, Jesus, and now my whole entire life was different. It really wasn't. And I was still the same person, still living in sin, still sleeping around, still drinking. I was still wilding. But now I had this belief. I had a belief in God, and now I had a change in thinking. I can change the way that I think. And this combination was like really good for me. And then Guatemala and getting around different people who also thought positively and looked for the positive instead of the negative. And I began to seek. I believed in God, but then I finally began to seek after God and look, God, if you're real, I need to know this stuff. I need to learn. I need a relationship with you. I need something. I need this pain to go away. I need it to go away. And there was something that I would always see over and over when it came to God, and it was forgiveness. The whole premise of Jesus was he came into the world for the forgiveness of sins, and here I am, forgiven of my sins, and I'm still holding on to unforgiveness, and I'm really, 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 looking at other people. I'm looking at my abuser's evil and comparing it to my evil, and I'm like, well, I may have been bad, but at least I'm not like that guy. At least I'm not like that kid who did this. It felt like unforgiveness was my power over this person who did this to me. Like, me not forgiving them was my power over them. And I thought that made me strong. I thought that made me strong, that it gave me this power of unforgiveness. And for those of you who have ever held a grudge, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like the only thing you got over this person is this anger, and it empowers you. And I didn't understand why I needed to forgive. And then I came across this passage, and I have it right here. It says, it's Matthew chapter 6, verse 14. It says, "For if you forgive men when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive men their sins, your Father will not forgive your sins." And for some reason, and that came right after, the whole "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name." It came right after that. And it just really stood out to me. And we are forgiven through Christ. What he's saying here is not like, all right, cool, you're forgiven through Christ, but if you don't forgive somebody, you're not really forgiven. That's not what it's saying. I'm not going to get into the whole context of it, but I don't know, that just kept like ringing in my mind. It kept ringing in my mind, and I was like, I just got to a day once where I'm like, screw this, I'm forgiving this dude. Like, how do I do this? So I searched him on Facebook. And I think I found him on Facebook. I'm not too sure because it's been, I don't know, 30 years since I've seen him last. So, like, I think I found him. I don't know. But either way, I sent a message on Facebook, and I don't remember exactly what I said, but I just said, hey, I don't know if you remember me. I'm this person's son, and I just want you to know that I forgive you for what you did to me. And he never read it. It looked like it was a dead account anyway. But I always thought that me forgiving somebody was me having to like forgive them and then accept them back into my life. And there's a big difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. You can forgive somebody without reconciling with them. You can forgive them without letting them back into your life. And it was this moment for me of, I'm just going to do this. They say, oh, forgiveness isn't for you. Forgiveness isn't for the other person. It's for you. And I understand that, but I also think that that's nonsense. I think forgiveness is for God, because we are to strive to live a more Christ-like life. And Christ's biggest, and Christ's whole purpose for coming here was the forgiveness of sins. Who am I? Who am I to, no matter what somebody has done to me, who am I to hold a grudge and unforgiveness over them as if I'm not the worst of the worst myself, messing up with God every single day. Like every single day I'm messing up with God. And then here I am, like, because my sins are not as evil as what this person did to me, I have the right to not forgive. Like no, I expect God to forgive, but not me. That's bugged out. That's totally insane. And it wasn't until I realized how insane that was for me to expect forgiveness and not give it. It wasn't until then that I realized why I needed to forgive. So it wasn't easy. I just did it. And after that moment, I felt like this weight lifted off my shoulders, and I would love for him to have responded, and so I could be so I could have a conversation with him, because this is another thing of why I was able to forgive, because who is to blame for what this person did to me? Who is to blame? Most people who do this do it because it was done to them, and it gets embedded in them. Who am I? Who am I to blame? Do I blame him because he did it to me? Or do I blame the person who did it to him? And then do we just stop right there? Or do I then blame the person who did it to him? And then do I go, all the way back up the chain until Adam and Eve? How far do I have to go to get to the person to blame? If you're listening to this and you have the chance to speak to somebody, please do it. Reach out to me. If you have the chance to have a conversation with the person who did this, have it from a place of understanding that it's probably because something happened to them. Ask them why they did it to you. They might be walking around with guilt. They might feel so guilty for what they've done. And it doesn't excuse it, but it could at least give you some clarity and some understanding. And if you need to talk to anybody, you could reach out to me. I'm not an expert at this. I'm not I don't know how I could help you. But if you just need to say, hey, me too, it happened to me too, then I'm here for you. So with all this being said, the only way that I was really able to forgive was through Christ. And if you're not a believer, if you're not a Christian, I get it. I think it's going to be very difficult to understand how to forgive until you realize how much you have been forgiven. And that was one of the biggest things for me, to realize that I have done so much wrong and I'm still forgiven. Who am I to not be forgiving? And that's pretty much it, guys. So I hope this video helped you. I hope I hope you just at least don't feel alone. Please comment on this if you feel like you don't have to share your story, but just like Me Too, comment Me Too under it. This isn't the Me Too movement, but just comment Me Too under it so I can pray for you. If you want to talk to me, just reach out to me on Instagram. Also, I'm working on building a real community with my Patreon supporters. I want to.
All right, y'all. So that's really it, because he's just going into like other business or whatever. But yeah, I hope this kind of helps whomever has been through something like that, and to know that you're not alone. You never have been alone. It was all part of a bigger agenda to make you feel alone and trapped on the inside, to stop you from finding out who you are through the kingdom. And now that he found out who he is through the kingdom, like I said, he's a world-renowned entrepreneur. And